Good afternoon and welcome to Aico TV. I'm Alex Garmston.
And I'm Holly Moore.
And today we join you from our auditorium here in Oswestry. The reason we're here is this time last year we were lucky enough to win 3 Shropshire Chamber Business Awards, as you can see on the table in front of you. The most prestigious one being Company of the Year. Due to the awards being virtual, we had to record a celebratory video right here in this room.
Thank you first of all to the Shropshire Chamber for organising this event yet again. Absolute honour and privilege. We're very, very proud to have won the 2020 Company of the Year. Thank you!
For anyone who hasn't seen the auditorium before, this room sits 106 people, used for events, conferences and presentations usually. Hopefully we can get to a situation where this room can be used again very soon. But here's what's coming up on today's episode.
Firstly, we have Neal Hooper, our Managing Director, speaking to Richard Sheehan, Mia Carter and Teresa Rowe from the Shropshire Chamber of Commerce about the daily goings-on at the Chamber and what they do there.
Then we have Carl Jones from Shropshire Business Live TV interviewing PBM owner Paul Bird and John Mowat.
Finally, we'll answer one of your frequently asked questions: what is the difference in sound between my carbon monoxide alarm and smoke alarm? Last week we had the pleasure of welcoming Richard, Mia and Teresa from the Shropshire Chamber of Commerce to our headquarters here in Oswestry. They had a tour of our facilities and had a look around the Aico TV studio. Aico are proud patrons of the Shropshire Chamber of Commerce, so we're keen to support them in any way that we can. So it was great to have them in the studio to speak to them about what the Shropshire Chamber do and how they help Shropshire businesses and how those businesses can get involved. So I'll hand over to our Managing Director, Neal Hooper, who had the pleasure of conducting this interview.
Hello, I'm delighted to be joined today by 3 very, very important people from Shropshire Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to introduce you now to Richard Sheehan, the Chief Executive of Shropshire Chamber of Commerce, Mia Carter, who is the Director of Membership, and Teresa Rowe, who is the Events Manager. They're going to talk about what life's been like at the Chamber over the last year, and indeed what brought them to the Chamber in the first place, and most importantly of all of the great work that the Chamber carries out on behalf of Shropshire. So if I'm going to talk to Richard first of all. Richard, what brought you to the Chamber of Commerce?
What brought me to the Chamber of Commerce? Well, Neil, 26 years working in the motor trade, an opportunity to do something different for a year. And I thought, that sounds a really interesting thing to do. Motor trade gets in your blood, and had some amazing times there, but just thought, yeah, I'm interested in that, so I'll go and do it for a year. That was 14 years ago. So what you realise very quickly is the amazing work that the Chamber does, and the real sense of job satisfaction that you get by helping others. I always describe my role as almost like running a charity for businesses, because everything we do is to try and look and see how we can make an impact on the ground on behalf of the business community to help them to prosper and help them to employ people, create opportunities. So in a nutshell, that was it. There was no real master plan. I think I came with a few transferable skills which helped at the time. And since then we've seen a growth in the Chamber which has been amazing really, and that's all been achieved on the back of the team that's in it, because as you know, and as do I, it's about the people within it that make the difference, and that's really my privilege, is just to be able to do interviews about it. They get the work done.
So if we do turn to the 2 ladies who are doing the actual work then. Mia, your journey into the Shropshire Chamber?
Well, I actually started with the Shropshire Chamber about 2.5 years ago now. My background was Midland News Association, so advertising sales, and I looked after the Chamber as a client for a good 5 or 6 years.
Tell the truth.
Okay, a lot longer. And I had twins. I loved the industry I was in, but obviously working with the Chamber, the opportunity came up and I jumped at the opportunity, and it's been great. I've obviously known Teresa and Richard for both a very long time, and the opportunity to make such a difference to not only businesses but communities that are around us, it's a privilege. I love it.
Lovely, thank you. And Teresa, the events manager, our paths cross very, very often.
Weekly.
All these great events you organise, and virtually as well. What brought you to the Chamber originally?
It was that long ago, I can't remember. 22 years ago this July, so July the 19th, 1999 was when my journey started with the Chamber.
Wow.
My background prior to that was Shropshire newspapers. Didn't quite know Mia then, but got to know Mia through the Chamber and Shropshire Star relationship. I'm all about the people. I'm a people pleaser, and I think the role that I went into at the time was customer service. So I always wanted to give back to make sure that the other person was happy, and if they weren't, I would always go to the nth degree to try and resurrect any issues or problems. So I started off customer service advisor, went to membership advisor, went to, what did I do? So many things. Telesales operative, and then it was membership again, and then the role just evolved into events. So I was events coordinator and then events manager in 2010, and that's where I'm at, and that's where I'm really happy to be.
How many events do you run per year?
There's a number that goes around every year, and it's around 150, but I'm sure this year we've probably touched sort of 170 virtual events, because there isn't the travel element involved, and you literally do one event and then you're on to the next one, and you can do 3, 4, in early lockdown days, 3, 4 events a day, all very different types of events, all very relative to the climate that we were in at the time.
That's incredible, isn't it? That amount to 3 a week, 3 or 4 events every single week.
Yeah, no, it's good, and you get to meet so many different types of businesses, and you get to learn about the businesses as well, not just sit and listen. You take it on board and you share that with the members that we're in touch with.
Yeah. And what's it been like, Richard, the last year, the life of the Chamber in this crisis?
The last year, well, I joined in 2007, so just before the recession, and that I thought was going to be the hardest thing that we ever had to deal with. How wrong was I? I think it's fair to say that it's been a real challenge, but the team adapted so quickly. In fact, our virtual event was 3 days after lockdown, I think, wasn't it? The first one. So from being locked down to creating our first virtual event was 3 days, and it was out, and it was really successful. We, as a Chamber of Commerce, we're a not-for-profit organisation, so we have a board of non-exec directors. And I went to them very early on to say, look, we need to look at membership, and if we can, defer some of the membership fees because companies are going to be struggling. And that was agreed. And we also looked at not making sure we didn't furlough anybody, because we actually needed the people on the ground, gathering the intelligence, feeding into stakeholders locally, regionally and nationally, what was going on the ground, so that the support was shaped. And that was a really important piece of work, and sometimes we were told that we were the only people contacting a business from anybody and anywhere, which was nice to be able to do that, really. That was quite a significant financial investment, but we're privileged that we had reserves so we could do it, so we committed to that. Since then, we've invested in people. So we've got more staff than we've ever had now. There's 24 of us now, which we've never had so many. But they're all there, and they're all recruited to do specific things for the business community. So customs that we have spoken about. We've got trained compliance customs people within the organisation. They've all been through the HMRC training. They're all absolutely up to speed with it. We've got international trade advisors, international trade documentation people, which is a separate part of the business. We've brought in a policy officer because the research was so important, and we need to still feed in to government what's going on the ground, what's working, what isn't working, and to make sure that businesses get that intelligence and that information, how they can access the support that's available, either from us or many, many other organisations, because a lot of the grant funding has been the difference and the lifeline between surviving and not for some businesses in particular sectors. So we've had a big role to play. I can't say it's been easy. I think we'd all admit it's quite exhausting at times, but the sense of, we've done the right thing, I think, is really good. So we've gone through all that. Much of it will carry on and evolve, but we're now looking at the future and what's needed for the future. And you'll know that we developed our mental health charter, which I think is a really critical piece of work in supporting businesses and how they look after their workforce, not only from what's gone on, but I think none of us can underestimate what's likely to happen when lockdown finishes. Companies come under pressure because the funding streams start to drop off. That sometimes will spread through to the people that worry about their jobs in some cases. And also the relationships they've built. Sometimes people won't be there that were there when lockdown really started. Sometimes customers won't be there anymore. Supply chains, and that's all uncertainty that will have an impact on mental health. So our mental health charter, I believe, is a really good piece of work. And we continue to evolve our office through amazing events that Teresa does. And the rest of the team around training and personal development. It's just ongoing, continuous, is it Kaizen? Continuous improvement. We're continually looking to improve to be the very best we possibly can in this environment.
Yeah. Well, I can only speak on behalf of somebody, on behalf of a company that is a patron and a member of the Chamber, and I think the work that you've carried out this year has been phenomenal. And we've thoroughly enjoyed the events that we've attended virtually, and I'm sure that must be right across Shropshire as well. So thank you for everything that you have done from that aspect. Much appreciated.
Yeah, well, as we touched on in the beginning, it's the team, it's the people that make that happen. I think we've got to continue to try and touch more businesses and bring them together. The sense of community is strength, and as we come out of lockdown, I think working together and collaboration is never going to be as important as it is then.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to play our part as the catalyst to make that happen.
And from your perspective, Mayor, Director of Membership, so we joined, we became a patron. So what happens then from your perspective? So somebody like Aico joins the Chamber. How are your numbers looking? What does your role mostly entail?
It's a varied mix of different elements really throughout the day. So obviously recruitment wise, we look after prospective members, current members, with a view to helping them on their journey. It's not a case of join and see you soon. We are there to build that relationship and help in any way possible, through events, through training, signposting, profile raising, you name it. We've got everything for everybody. And if we haven't, as Richard said, we can find somebody who can help.
How many members are there?
Just shy of 700.
I didn't tell you that was coming, did I? Well
no,
done.
You didn't.
Yeah, it's a good job she could answer that.
Yeah, so just shy of 700. Patrons as well, obviously yourselves being one. Teresa's our patron manager as well. And we have 21 patrons in total. But we also work in other areas like advertising and sponsorship, and I'll let Teresa talk about the awards, because we've not only delivered our business awards last year, but also something called Chamber Champions that was, I think, notorious really for the county.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't want to blow our own trumpet, but we do like the awards. Teresa, how has your role changed in terms of the events? Because we were all heading into this year looking forward to a whole series of being together, essentially.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't.
So as Richard mentioned earlier, it'll be a year on the 26th of March when we actually did our first virtual event, and it was 3 days from telling us that we were locked down, we were working from homes. IT had to change, we had to learn how to even use Zoom. We had to tell our members this is the platform that we were using, a bit of hand-holding, or I should say a lot of hand-holding. But our members were so supportive of us and they engaged with us, and I said this in a previous event that we have got to know our members better and they've become closer to one another. They've expressed their concerns of sort of home working and lone working, and I think without the Chamber bringing the community, the business community together, I think people would have really suffered and struggled out there. So the world did change, but we did try and deliver events online similarly to the way we would do if it was in person. All our breakfast meetings, all our partnership events are all brought online. We were able to get some big name speakers because we didn't have to worry about the travel element, so they were there ready to sort of host and speak to our members. The Chamber Champion Awards were born from the lockdown, so we recognised individuals and businesses who had literally gone out of their way to help everybody who was struggling. That does seem such a long time ago we did that, but it was June 2020. We did the Business Awards, and of course you were the Company of the Year award winner amongst many other awards that night. It was different. Everything was a learning curve because we'd never experienced that way of virtual networking, and I don't look back and regret and think we should have done it this way or that way. We learn and you just evolve. So the event that's going on this week is the West Midlands Business Expo. It's an event we've never done before. We're used to that in person, that sort of physical side of things. So to be virtual behind a screen is not our comfort, but we've had to, as I say, we've adapted and we like it, but we can't wait to be out. Well, I can't anyway.
Yeah, I think we can hear here. What if people looking in, companies looking in that aren't members of the chamber at the moment, what would you say to them, Mia?
It's all about what they want. We aren't just a case of become a member. We want to understand the business, what their pains are, what their desires are, and actually go through a process of fact-finding that information to understand what they need. We have varying levels of membership, from entry level all the way up to what we call our corporate level. So it's about what their needs are and what their desires are. It's not a case of one size fits all. Every business is different, just like every individual here today. It's about finding the right fit and making sure that they're serviced and looked after in the best possible way.
Yeah, and I say that the events that you run, it was a tremendous amount of networking, doesn't it, as well? We were on a Zoom call this morning at an event with other companies around Shropshire. What do you see, Richard, from the perspective of we had what we thought was a normal life, and then the last year has gone into a virtual reality. We're coming out of it. We have signposted dates where we can get a haircut and things like that. So what do you? I mean, you're talking to a lot of businesses like Aico, a lot of other businesses within Shropshire. What do you think the new way of working is going to be?
I think it's going to be a blend of the virtual, the office space, and the work from home scenario. I think depending on the sector that you're in, there are some where it's really difficult to work from home and operate in a virtual way, but it's interesting to see how people are adapting the virtual world to support the old world as it was. Only this morning, a construction company talking about being able to use Zoom to have a site call, and where somebody can demonstrate an issue they might be facing to a senior manager in the business, where normally it would have been a long-winded phone conversation which may or may not have got the result across. So I think technology was coming. There's no question about it. The advancement of technology was on its way. Its natural course was going to probably evolve over, well, it'll never end, but over probably the next 3 or 4 years. What's happened is that this has accelerated the process. An example is where we are now in your incredible studio. So I think that's not going to stop. People are now on the journey of technology and embracing technology. So we're going to see some real changes in working practices. Many of the big open plan office accommodation are where they were full with people, just won't be anymore. I think employers will work with their employees to help them to blend physical office work or factory work or whatever it is and virtual, because there's a danger that committed people will try and do both to the nth degree, and ultimately that's going to put them in a position of tremendous stress. And as we touched on earlier, the mental health charter that we have, we're very aware of people's mental health. Mental health touches so many people, and we're going to continue to drive that home, provide that support to business owners and business leaders to ensure that none of them, almost none of them, are healthcare professionals, nor can they be. But what they can be is human beings with an ear and understand where to signpost somebody if they really need that help. Because the pandemic is here. Lockdown isn't the end of it. Lockdown will be the start of the next phase of change and different things that people are going to have to deal with. So I think that's going to be a major issue going forward. I think the UK will prosper as businesses get their head around the new world that we live in. I think there's going to be a lot more onshoring of activity. Now that takes a little bit of time, and it takes money. And that, I guess, if there is an alarm call for me in my role, is there are many businesses who are literally on the breadline and have been supported through government initiatives. And when that government initiative starts to unwind, it needs to be progressive and slow, because pulling the drawbridge up all of a sudden is just not going to allow a business time to start its marketing activity again, get its stock in place, because some people's stock is seasonal, and what they've got now might be something from Christmas last year. So there's a whole raft of different things that need to happen, and government's got a big part to play in terms of ensuring that support is continuing. We, as organisations, are lobbying hard into government at the very highest level, at ministerial level, to ensure that they get the message from the ground that businesses are not like lights. You don't turn them on and turn them off. It doesn't happen like that. It takes time. And so don't think that on a day you're going to shut things off and support and all will be well, because it won't. It's going to take time. Those who've got the opportunity to grow need cash. And working capital is a really critical point. So the banks need to behave. History says from the past recession period they didn't. So we're going to have a close brief on that, watching brief, to see how the behaviours are, because we cannot allow the banks to start behaving in the manner that they did. I hope they've learned their lesson, because they have an awful lot of taxpayers' money to bail them out. But it's really important that those businesses who can really capitalise and grow their employment opportunities can actually get hold of the cash that helps them do it. Now there's a nervousness around loans, of course, because we've seen B-bills and C-bills, and lots of businesses have taken those on. There's a real nervousness around business debt. There's no question about it. So we've got to look at other solutions. And there was something, as the EU money unravels and goes away, the RDF and things we used to work with, there was initially something called the Shared Prosperity Fund, which I think is changing its name again. Probably means there's less money now because it's changed its name. But the reality is we've got to ensure that people can gain access to that support and that financial support to ensure that they can make their business prosper. Because, I think we've got some tremendous opportunities, huge bumps in the road. This thing hasn't gone away, and there are going to be lumps and bumps in the road, and that will impact on people's self-confidence. The consumer confidence obviously is a critical part of that. But the opportunities, I think, are tremendous, and being part of something, being part of a community that helps you find those opportunities and work in collaboration, it's never been more important than it is now. So this young lady's phone should be ringing off the hook now, because for a very nominal fee, literally, people can really get involved in working across Shropshire and finding the best opportunities they can.
And for the two of you then, Mia and Teresa, there will be people looking in who are members of the Chamber already, nearly 700. If you had to pick a few things for anybody out there, what would be the best things that they can access, and perhaps quite a number of the members aren't accessing? So for a nominal fee, the support that you offer, what would you land on as the things that you think these are most pertinent, bearing in mind we're going to go through another change and people being anxious?
Well, our membership model's very much choice-based. About 2.5 years ago, it changed from, I suppose, tick box. You fit this category of 1 to 10 employees, therefore you must pay this fee. it's changed so much. We are now very much about what you need. So just to cover a few of the things that we offer in membership, we offer up to a 50% discount on the majority of export documentation. So anybody who does export actually can make a cost saving. Profile raising opportunities. We do a bi-monthly magazine that's distributed to all of our members, goes out to our 6,000 subscribers, as well as being available to view online. So good news stories, you've expanded, you've won an award, anything like that, it will feature within that publication. The opportunity to connect and collaborate with our members and the wider business community in the form of a networking breakfast club or a tailored event like Network of Women or Professionals Partnership, as well as our training. You know, we offer everything from public speaking, fire marshal, health and safety, but also down to like your Google Analytics, your LinkedIn for Business, that type of thing. So there's a whole raft of opportunity for every business. So if it sounds interesting, get in touch.
Thank you.
Similarly.
Same question to yourself.
I think Mia might have just answered it.
Sorry, Dee.
It's okay. But it is, I mean, my role is events. I am Mrs. Events, as I get called, but it is about joining the events, taking part in the events and realising that there are events that are included in your membership. Depending on what level you've chosen, you can get between 8, 10, 12 events included within that membership. So, you know, use it, you pay for it, so use it and get the most out of it. We run the Professionals Partnership, we run manufacturing when we can. We've got the breakfast meetings, we're trying to do a golf day. So, you know, we are adapting with our events. We work with stop. The events that we run are what members want, and that's what we should be doing, is putting events on for the businesses for them to be able to get as much out of it as they can. So we also want to hear from members, so if we're not actually putting something on that they want, then they're our members, they should be helping us to sort of drive the membership forward, and also, you know, whatever event they want, they should talk to us, tell us, help us shape the future, because obviously the world we are living in is different to how it was last year, so we have to move on with the times as well.
When do you think the events will become live again and we'll all be together? I'm
counting the weeks down really, so I'm hoping by May we can potentially do a pilot event, but I'm hoping from June 21st onwards we can at least be running some trial events again, but just to try and get people to get their confidence back. And perhaps have a room of 30 people. I'm sure the distancing measures will still be in place, but every Zoom meeting that I'm in, somebody's always saying, when can we meet again? We have introduced networking, so every Friday in May from 10 till 12 or 1 till 2, we're going to be meeting up socially distanced. So we've got Hormond Hill, we've got Lith Hill, we've got Apley Woods, and we've got Ellesmere. So we're trying to move around the Shropshire County to make sure we look after all our members who are literally across the whole of Shropshire. So I'm hoping that will give people some confidence with each other and having that sort of eye contact with one another, because we've all been looking at screens for so long. I think it's going to take some time for people to sort of build that rapport with one another again, and if we can introduce that and start the ball rolling, I think come June people's confidence will be there.
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed. And for yourself, Mia, Shropshire it's a huge county. There's an awful lot of beautiful green fields and hills, probably with two major centres, Telford and Shrewsbury. Obviously we would argue that the hub is Oswestry.
Who would dispute that?
I'm going to try and keep my face straight there. So Telford and Shrewsbury, but a lot of rural communities, a lot of smaller towns that Teresa's just mentioned some of them. How do you tackle the membership aspect where you have large companies who are based in the city or the larger towns, and then you have all the rural communities? I think there's a stat of the percentage of SMEs in Shropshire that have 10 people or less employed. Is it 90%?
Yeah, it's 90%, which is
remarkable.
Probably slightly higher than national average. But yeah, you've got a situation where you've got 90% of the businesses with 10 employees and less,
Yeah.
and most of the time, the manager or the owner is absolutely nose to the grindstone. So their time that they've got to work on the business is very limited because they're working in it all the time. So it's very much about getting out and about and engaging, and we've had an ambition for a long time to have a mobile roadshow to go around all the business parks in the county to improve engagement, because the market towns are full of really successful businesses that do really, really well without probably engaging with business support organisations, business support in general, and accessing it. The big question is, what could they do if they did engage with it? And how do we get them to do that? So it's a big piece of work. You know, our marketing team work tirelessly in communication. It's really important. But the best way to deal with it without a shadow of doubt is to actually be out there and be in amongst it. Hence the events that Teresa puts on, moves them around the county to try and engage with as many people as possible. And we'll continue to do that and to expand it, because I think it's the right thing that we should be doing. We missed a slight segue that Teresa gave us about the future as well. She talked about people engaging with us.
That was me, because I'm no Carl Jones.
Yeah, well, no,
I missed that.
No, not at all. No,
Carl would have been on it like that, wouldn't he?
It's only because I've got something I wanted to talk about, and now's the opportunity because I picked it up. And of course, we're all very mindful that you know, this pandemic has impacted businesses, but it's also impacted people, and particularly young people. And so we, as a chamber, very early on, back in September actually, engaged with the government's Kickstarter programme, because we knew we got the connectivity to make a difference, and we knew, and we could see the direction of travel, that the impact on young people was going to be very, very significant. And of course, these are our workforce, our employees, our business owners of the future. If we don't get them engaged, and if we don't work hard to do that, then we're going to have a lost generation, and that will impact on our economy of the future. So we got heavily involved in Kickstarter very early. In fact, we were one of the first out of the traps, I have to say. The result of that is that we are the biggest gateway in the whole of the West Midlands and Mercia region. And we've got a visit tomorrow from Mims Davis MP, who is the Minister for Unemployment, to understand what we've done so far, how we've been so successful, and more importantly, what more we can do. And we've got some great feedback to give them in terms of development. So I think it's vitally important that we continue that work, and we are committed to it. We've also developed a tech-based project called People Portal, which is a video CV platform, because of course, being a large geographic, we have logistical challenges, particularly for young people getting about and getting an interview and getting there. So our video CV platform is very much, if you describe it almost like an estate agent's window, shop window. But instead of houses, it's people. And we'll drive business traffic to it, and they'll be able to click on an individual, hear them go through their video CV, understand whether that person might just fit into their business. And at that point, they can then consider whether they want to go to a second interview with this person. And that can happen from a business perspective on whatever device they want, whenever they want. So the damage to time for that small 10 people or less business is kept to an absolute minimum.
Yeah.
And so we overcome those barriers with this tech-based solution. So again, it's all part of the master plan, if we want to call that, the forward thinking, recognising the challenges. We've got 22,800 people across Shropshire who are still on furlough. It's highly likely, sadly, a proportion of those are going to end up in the unemployment market. So if we don't do something to make a difference now, then our market towns in particular will probably suffer badly. So we're committed to that. Some people would look at it, where's the Chamber of Commerce doing that? Well, for the reasons I said earlier, this is about our workforce of the future. Yes, it's about society, but it's also about those people who are going to create economic wealth of the future, and we need to engage them now, and we are.
And you mentioned about online, to look at video CVs. What part is online training playing in the future of the Chamber as well?
It will play a part, no question about it. I think depending what the subject matter is, there are some forms of training that are absolutely better delivered face-to-face. The peer-to-peer learning that you get from being in that classroom-based environment is of immense value. But online training certainly is something which we have delivered in the past. We have now. We've run virtual training courses, but we've actually had a whole suite of nearly 2,000 online courses available to us at one stage. We don't have that anymore because the company unfortunately went off into the ether. But it's something we're continuing to look at. A medium such as this, for us to communicate out what we do, what we're looking to do, where the support is, the type of events that are coming up, the international trade support. I mean, this is the type of thing, Chamber TV, as we aspire to, is absolutely the new way of communicating. And certainly, it's not the only way, but it will be part of our future in whatever form we can make it happen, because we know people watch stuff now more than read it. So this is absolutely the way to get the message across.
Yeah, we've had to adapt. We had with the centre, which you were in earlier, downstairs, where we train a lot of people, educate them. We have the mobile units, 4 of them, that travel around the country 3 days a week, all over the UK. Can't use those. Haven't been able to use them for a year. So we started with webinars, and now we've started with this. I think when we're all back out there, there is still going to be an appetite for people looking at things online, isn't there? Oh, I'll spend 2-3 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, just having a quick look at that. So it's still going to be out there.
Yeah.
So you've got ambitions in that field. So we're going to be seeing a lot of the 3 of you on TV, coming to a television near you.
Well, as you know, I did have a key to get in and out earlier on. Although unfortunately it was a mini key I was trying to open the door with. But
Richard could be our new peers.
Piers?
Yeah.
Piers Morgan.
Piers Morgan. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But no, it's absolutely right now, and with the recording facilities that are available, you can play so much back where people, perhaps if they can't make it to something that's really important, they can watch it in their own time, again on their own device, at a time of convenience. So getting the message out and spreading the message is such a powerful medium to do it through, and it's a really important piece of expansion plan for us. There's no question about it.
Teresa, the set piece of the year is always the Chamber of Commerce Awards night, the Business
indeed.
Awards. What are the plans for this year?
Well, it's down to the government guidelines and guidance. We are really hoping for November, whether it be virtual or in person, but we are hoping it will be in person this year. You can't beat the celebration of businesses coming together. That one night, it takes months and months of organising, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And this year's been hard for me so far, because January we normally launch the awards. You know, we're preparing for the sponsorship, the award categories. There's a real buzz and a real excitement about the awards, which normally would take place in June. However, I'm hoping the buzz will start sort of May time, when we're a bit clearer on what the future looks like. But either way, we're looking forward to November, and hopefully at the Telford International Centre. We don't know about numbers yet, we don't know about the confidence of businesses yet, but we'll be there and we will hold members' hands all the way through the whole event. But we hope that you'll be entering again this year. Company of the Year can be won twice. So yes, very much looking forward to it, and as I say, it will be probably May onwards when we can start really planning the future of that event.
Yeah, it was an honour to win it, and the buzz around the team and actually putting it together. And then when we did win, it was a shame that we couldn't all be together on the evening, but that was completely understandable. The fact you held the awards was a tremendous achievement, and it went really, really well. With some guest stars, I think I was Rishi's warm-up man, I think, on the night. The worst things to do. So with regard to yourself, Mia, what are you most looking forward to with regard to the Chamber when we lurch out of this lockdown?
Oh, getting out and seeing people. I thrive on people, so for me it's about having a cup of coffee, a decent one at that, and getting to know...
I
meant that.
Was that a comment about yours?
No, really wasn't.
Mia's just had one of our cups of coffee. I don't know whether that was
and it was lovely.
Whether that was a compliment or a criticism.
It was definitely a compliment. But no, just getting to, see people, have a conversation, help them in any way possible, guide them, and do business. You know, yes, you can do it over Zoom, but it is not the same, for me anyway. I know a lot of people have thrived on it and really enjoy it, but for me there's nothing like getting together with people and hopefully doing business.
But we also need to get to know our team again, because there's been, as Richard mentioned earlier, with the new team members, we've never met them.
No.
If we have, we've only seen them on a small screen.
Yes.
So I think that's a really important part for me, is to sort of go back to basics and understand the team and get to know people, and they get to know us as well. So
And I also
I'm looking
think
forward to
like
that.
different things that we're working on coming to fruition as well. There is something that we will be launching towards the end of March, and we've also launched a charity and not-for-profit partnership as well. We are a not-for-profit ourselves, as Richard said, but for us it's about connectivity, and you know, not all CSR is about money. It is about everything else that is available. So we're really championing on that as well. So yeah, I think it's just everything, to be honest with you, Neil.
And final word to the Chief Exec himself.
Final word to me.
Final thoughts from the Shropshire Chamber of Commerce for 2021, Richard?
We have ambitions to grow. There's no question about it in terms of numbers of members and level of activity. Because if we do, we'll make a bigger difference than we do today. And so it has to be our ambition to do that. We've no divine right for that to happen. We have to work very hard to make that happen. And Mia touched on the choice-based membership. And I'll try and persuade people to think of it as a sticking plaster and establish where the pain is in the business and what in the membership can help alleviate that pain. And if we can start to do that more than we do today, then the whole Shropshire economy will benefit. The people of Shropshire will, I'm sure, prosper, no question about it. And I think it's an exciting, challenging, difficult year ahead. But out of it, there is a real opportunity for us to continue to make a difference way beyond where we are today. And as you've touched on, and many of us are aware, you know, we do make a significant difference. But we can do more, and we're always looking to see how we can be better today, tomorrow, next week. And we'll continue to do that.
But thank you. Thank you, all three of you. It's very much appreciated. And final word on behalf of ourselves is that we've been in Oswestry for 31 years, and it's only in recent years that we joined the Chamber and then quickly became patrons, because we want to be up to something, we want to be doing good, and the Chamber, the events that they organise, the networking opportunities, and also the opportunity for education that they provide, and as Richard has already mentioned, and indeed Mia and Teresa as well, all of the extras that you can obtain from the Chamber of Commerce. To anybody out there who's not a member, I would urge you to be so. We weren't and we are, and it's made a great difference to Aico. And for anybody who is a member, please get in touch with them and see all the resources that they have to offer. Again, it's made a tremendous difference to our company, and I wish we'd done it a lot earlier. So I hope you enjoyed our segment with the Shropshire Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to thank the three of you for coming in. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you.
And to the rest of you, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Welcome back to Aico TV. We are now going to go to the second part of the episode and look at British Superbikes. Here at Aico we've had the pleasure of supporting PBM over the last 2 seasons. Last season PBM did amazingly well and won the championship, as you can see by the trophy here. Josh Brooks, their rider, finishing first, with their second racer Chris Iden finishing second. Earlier last week we had Carl Jones from Shropshire Business Live TV interview Paul Bird, the owner of PBM, and his colleague John Moat, who's the race team coordinator. Let's take a look at that interview.
Well, hello, my name's Carl Jones from Shropshire Business Live TV, and I've come up to Aico today to meet a company that know a thing or two about being on the front row of the grid, a bit like our Shropshire Company of the Year do here. From PBM, our duo are, so introduce yourself, folks.
Hi, I'm Paul Bird, I'm the team owner at PBM.
I'm John Mowat and I'm PBM team coordinator.
And Paul, explain the link with Aico and how it came about.
Well, it's quite difficult really, I suppose. Over the years we've been involved with an old friend of ours, Kevin Sargent, who was the owner of Vent Axia. Kevin was a keen motorcycle fan and had an involvement with the team. And as the years have gone on, Kevin's friends and associates from that kind of electrical industry have come on board, so that's how we got to meet Neal and got involved with Aico, and the story unfolds from there.
Because we should rewind a little bit first, really, because of course we haven't got the bike in here. It's downstairs, and a fine-looking piece of engineering it is too. But I mean, you are in bike terms, I guess, are you like the Mercedes F1 dominators of the field at the moment?
It'd be nice to be called that, but I don't know. We're just very enthusiastic. Been at it quite a long time. I'm an ex-racer myself. And well, first started in 1995 with a guy called John McGuinness, and it's sort of snowballed from there and grown with lots of championship wins and visits to World Superbikes for 4 years, and then MotoGP for 3 years, and it's quite a big story behind us, I think.
Because the industry itself has changed massively over that 15-20 year time, hasn't it?
Well, you're a bit too much for me, yes. I'm just a simple northern boy, so yeah, it's amazing how quickly technology moves on in this world now.
And just explain a bit about your working relationship between the two of you.
Yeah, so we first got involved with Paul in 1997 when we ran the Aprilias. Again, he was running John McGuinness and we were running an Irish kid called Darren Gawley. Our paths then split for 10 years or so, and then in 2007 we joined forces again, and I've been here ever since.
And I mean, the last 12 months, I guess, is like nothing we've ever seen before in whatever sector you're in, but how difficult has that made it in terms of preparation for what you might be looking to do for the rest of 2021?
Yeah, it's been quite remarkable, to be fair. I mean, with COVID and coronavirus over the last 12 months has been astonishing, to be fair. But I mean, last year when we finally got up and running, it was I'd say probably one of the most intense championships we've been involved in, to be fair. You know, there was massive pressure, slightly more obviously with it being a condensed championship, no showdown format, so it was vital to score as many points, you know, in the racing as possible, you know, when you couldn't really make any mistakes, otherwise you'd be out as a title contender. So yeah, very difficult, but we got there in the end.
And now don't be modest, gents, because you've won this thing every time since 2014 you went back in and you've dominated ever since, is that right?
Not every year, but we seem to have been all right. I think we've won the championship now 8 times. So.
I was going to say, define all right.
We've won championships in other classes and other categories as well, but this is always the one here.
It's a mighty. They do like to deliver huge, big, meaty trophies, don't they? It's proper stuff.
Yeah, great. But it is very special when you do get to lift that trophy, that is for sure.
I mean, does that make all the work and all the worry and all the investment and all the engineering worthwhile then?
Not really, because when you pick that up, you've got to pay the rider the championship win bonus, which is always quite strong. So it does have a downside.
I was going to ask you that actually. I mean, you know, notoriously, this sport is not a cheap sport to get involved in. So, how important is sponsorship and support from companies like Aico to allow you to do what
massively.
You do?
The team costs anywhere in between 1.6 and 1.8 million a year to run, so it does put a big strain on our family money as well. So I could probably be the black sheep of the family, but yes, what we love doing. My father still loves to watch the racing as well, so yeah, no, it's great.
And when you say the team, how many people are there in it?
can be up to 28 on a busy weekend.
So tell me a bit about the bike. I know when we were talking just before we came in here downstairs, you say you can do over 200 mile an hour, and I've no doubt the one that you're developing for the new season will be designed to be bigger, sleeker, better, faster. And
yeah. To be fair, it's a 1000cc V4R Panigale Ducati. Yeah, 170 kilos, 205 mile an hour top speed. So to 230 brake horse. So power to weight ratio is quite remarkable, to be fair. But there's a few slight upgrades for 2021. So the bike that is down in the reception won't be too dissimilar to what you'll see on the track this year.
But actually, presumably, getting the bike to you and assembled and ready and tested and everything, that's one of the big changes, I imagine, this year, is it? Just practical things?
I think I've been away for a few weeks, but seem to have been having a few problems getting parts that would come overnightly or the next day from Italy. Now become 2 and 3 weeks to get them, so it does have what's coming out of Brexit has caused a few problems.
So is that how it works then? Does the actual bike, it's assembled here, is it? But the components all come
we can have the options. We can go to the factory and build it in there in the workshops, or we can have the bike built there and sent over, or we can have the bike in parts and assemble it ourselves at our own workshop. So there's various ways. So we've always tried different ways to see which works out the cheapest. So
you've obviously all worked though, haven't they?
Well, touch wood.
Why do you love doing this so much?
Just the passion, just being involved with motorcycle racing from a very early age, and then you get involved. I want to work for a bike racing team, and you get involved, and you're cleaning the wheels and cleaning the bodywork, and that job goes to a little bit more and a little bit more, and then before you know it, you're working on the bikes, and then you get to the grand old age of 40 that I am now, and you think, it's not a passion actually. Now it's a job. So, but now it's one of the better jobs, I'd say, to have in the industry, for sure.
Yeah, trust me, that's not a grand old age. You've got plenty to go yet. I mean, how important is the working relationship between the core members of the team as well?
I think the team was quite. It's obviously a very northern-based team with the odd addition from Italy or from the south of the country, but. Yeah, we're very close knit, and everybody just gets on and does the job. So I stand back and watch it sometimes, and I watch how everybody operates and think, wow, we're a pretty slick outfit.
So the Aico branding will be all over the new season's bike, and where will we see it? When are you going to test it? When will the first competition be? Is that all up in the air at the moment?
John will tell you that.
Yeah, so obviously it's been pushed back a fortnight from the original date, so we will be out at the end of April. Prior to that, we will be doing, our own private testing schedule, which is ongoing at the minute. So we're just trying to clarify a few dates for that, and then the season will kick off at Upton Park at the end of June. So yeah, watch this space.
How much do you think how much of a difference do you think it'll make? Given that you're probably not going to have maybe you will have huge crowds coming to see the racing, because outdoor events, there's a feeling, I guess, once they release the COVID restrictions, it's one of the things that people are going to feel, right, we can come, right, we can do it.
Yeah.
Have you got like a plan A and a plan B depending on what happens then for the season?
A lot of that will depend on the organisers, really.
Yeah, for sure.
And what the government restrictions will be, but for sure, if we're allowed to have crowds and they've been starved of it for 18 months, it's going to be phenomenal at the first meeting, I would think.
It's a bit like, you see the horse racing festival as well, they're not quite the same, are they, without the crowds. What's the biggest challenge for you then at the moment as keeping a team together, particularly given that you're a team at the top, and I imagine you're there to be shot at, really, aren't you, at the moment?
That's a difficult question to answer, really.
Lots of things.
Yeah, there's lots of things, and it all seems to fall into place, and with lots of good staff that work within the team, and I let them get on and do what they're good at. So we've been at it such a long time, it just all does seem to fall into place. So the biggest thing for us is making sure we beat all the other riders. Have you had quite a stable team and a lot of people that have been with you for quite some time, so you all know how you work? Is that important? It's been pretty stable, and the important thing this year is we're going into 2021 with the same two riders. So same two crew chiefs. We've had a change of one engineer. So nothing really. We're pretty stable. Yeah, we'll be strong. That's for sure. What's the public profile like of the sport at the moment? How easy is it to get prime time exposure and to be able to talk and get people to understand and see what you do?
Yeah, pretty good, I think. Obviously, Stuart Higgs and MSVR do a good job on promoting it. You know, they tried their best, I think, last year to have free-to-air events, which was available on Quest, I think it was.
That was the first time in quite a while.
But obviously it is available on Eurosport. Qualifying on the Saturday, and then obviously your 2 races on the Sunday. Plus you have your motorcycle magazines and papers that come out weekly with the updates of all the events.
So in terms of your partnerships with some of your sponsors and people like Aico, there's a good opportunity for sort of a mutual benefit for everybody, really, then,
Yeah,
isn't it?
pretty tight. We've won sponsors who's a personal friend of mine. He's gone from this season, been with me a long time, probably over 10 years, but he just sold the business. So but he's going to give me some personal money. So, you know, when they do drop to the side, they all seem to stay in some form or another. So, yeah, we've got a guy telephoned me last night, a friend and colleague, just wanted to put some money into the team, but didn't want any branding or anything. So, yeah, I think we're fairly close-knit, and I'd like to think our sponsors are ultra loyal, to be fair.
And also presumably have an opportunity to get as up close, as involved in the whole process in the team, but not just on race days, as they want to, presumably. Isn't it?
Yeah, things might be a little bit different this year at the first 1 or 2 races, but I'm sure we're going to see some bumper crowds and some action-packed racing.
Right then, gents.
Some pretty fought team owners.
Absolutely, he says with a big smile. Prediction for the season then?
PBM on 2.
I'm very superstitious, so I don't like to make any predictions, but I'm sure if we can stay injury-free, we've got 2 riders that are more than capable of finishing at the top end of the championship and hopefully bringing one of them bad boys home again.
Well, you must have won this almost enough times to be able to keep it now. Is that how it works?
No, not really.
When the World Cup
not really.
You've
got to be a very special sponsor to be given one of them. So luckily Aico have been one of them very special sponsors.
A lot of cleaning to do as well, isn't there?
Well, maybe. I'd like to think they're going to look after it.
Brilliant. Well, gentlemen, good luck for the season on behalf of Aico and everybody involved. Hope it all goes well, and let's hope we have a season without too many disruptions.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
No worries, thanks.
Thank you to Carl Jones from Shropshire Business Live TV. It was great to hear from him, interviewing Paul Bird and John Moat from PBM, and how they put all the effort in with their sponsors for PBM, and how they create a winning team and that successful formula behind the team and all the hard work that goes into it. Next, we're going to look at one of our frequently asked questions, the difference in sound between a carbon monoxide alarm and a smoke alarm. I hope you enjoy.
What's the difference between the sound of smoke and carbon monoxide alarm? So the smoke and the heat alarms will sound like this. It's a continuous beep. However, the carbon monoxide alarm you would have 3 beeps, small pause, and 3 beeps again.
Technical team for showing us all the difference between sounds from our smoke alarm and our carbon monoxide alarms. It's really important that in that situation you know the difference, so hopefully you found that video helpful.
Yes, it was really interesting to hear the difference in sounds there. Unfortunately that's all we've got time for this week, so a massive thank you to Teresa, Mia, Richard from the Chamber, and to Carl Jones, Paul Bird and John Moat from PBM. That's all we've got time for this week, so please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Aico TV.
And you can also follow us on our other social media channels. We have Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram and TikTok.
Hope to see you again soon.
See you next week.